welcome to Thursday, June 6, 2024 work session. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting a school district business and is not considered a public meeting. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Next, we will have our mission statement, which will be read by Alicia Lewis. They already.
Alicia's gonna be the reader, but she's
Supporting.
gonna have her support.
Okay.
The Madison of Trotwood-Madison City Schools to graduate. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me start over. The Madison of the Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all learning, all students prepared to excel in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by graduating and challenge curriculum facilitated by an innovative and dedicated staff, community, preparation, and state-of-the-art resources. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm out of breath. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going now. And it's been waiting. The meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in the public for the purpose of conducting the school district business and is not to be considered a public community meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think, to be fair, she was asked at the very last minute to do that. So she told me she's a little nervous around people. So thank you so much, Ms. Lewis. We appreciate you.
What school?
I'll find out.
High school.
High school. We're gonna hear from them again, so.
Next up, subject E is to adopt the agenda. Need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I motion.
It's been moved in second. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, I have two changes that I would like to make. On item C, Agenda C, Administration Personnel, I would like to remove item C1 and C2. And then the second thing I would like to do is to add an item 8C1 and 8C2. I will be passing those out to you now. Those are hand carry items.
You said 8, the number 8?
H
H.
for hand carry, HC1 and HC2, not to be confused with the C1 and C2. Here you go. I'll pass these down. And those are certified positions that we're putting on.
Okay. Number two, presentations. The color,
We have to
oh, I'm
accept
sorry.
it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. For the for the adoption of the changes to the agenda. Now we need a motion.
We had one. Mr. Lumpkin is doing this. So, Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons. Yes. And Mrs. Kim.
Yes.
And Mr. Lee.
Motion passes. Next is the presentation of the color guard cadets presentation.
Yes, you can present up at the podium, yes.
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Sergeant First Class Samuel Brown, the Army instructor for Trotwood-Madison High School JRTC program. I'm missing one senior who has gone on to do great things right now, and that'll be Imani Fuller. But I do have the other three who actually participated in the NCAA Female Final Fours basketball game.
My name is Aleida Lewis, and sorry, you already know. Color guard has actually been an outlet for me, not for like actually going out somewhere, but mentally for me. I was very closed off as a kid, didn't really do nothing. And I walked into the room, and they was like, "Do you want to join color guard?" I was like, "What do y'all do?" And it was. They explained it to me how I was going to do it. Sergeant was very patient with me, and he was very kind to introducing me to color guard. And not only that, with Colonel, so it was very patient with me, not only my commander as well. But I have went on multiple trips, not only funded by my sergeant as well, but the district as well. And I have the one of my greatest travel place that I can say was Cleveland, the Final Four. It was actually my birthday on the day of the basketball game, and they was making it all about me, saying, "Oh, this is your birthday, this is your birthday." Sergeant has, on that trip, he did not want me to go without it being my birthday, so he actually did something for me that I really do appreciate. He brought a cake for me and a teddy bear, whatever. He wanted to make it known that it was my birthday, and he celebrated, everybody celebrated with me, which I am very thankful of. So, not only that, color guard has made my confidence up as well, but I think that's all for me.
I'm Jasmine Kennel, and I've been on color guard for at least 2 to 3 years now, and I'm now the commander, so I've come through a lot. Being in ROTC, I've found a family and people to actually relate to, not just the classroom. Sergeant Brown has been a very big help through all of it. He's new, and he caught on pretty quick, so I do appreciate him for that. He's done a lot for us, like color guards, and taken us places that we probably wouldn't have gone if he wouldn't have volunteered. For Colonel Graves, I would say he built a lot of my character for me becoming who I was today. As a commander, I've learned how to reevaluate myself with people and interpersonal. So, really, I just love this program. It's helped me personally, not just in school.
Sorry, my name is Gwyneth Plank,
I'm a first year ROTC cadet, and color guards really helped me get more out there. I'm a very antisocial person. It's given me some people I can confide in and helped me grow as a person. There's a lot of discipline that goes into that, which was really helpful, and it's given me a lot of opportunities outside of school. It's going towards helping paying for my college this next coming year, and I was able to go to the Final Four. Obviously, they said that several times. I'm sorry. And I've been able to make some really great personal connections, not only with my commanders, but with fellow cadets. And Sergeant Brown and Lieutenant Colonel Graves have helped me a lot to open up and given me a lot of personal challenges, both physical and mental challenges, to help me grow as a person. I think that's it.
Could we hear just a little bit about what happened today? You ladies said you're gonna tell me.
Sorry, I forgot.
That's all right.
We're doing an ROTC camp right now, and for the past, it's been since Tuesday, it ends tomorrow, but today we were able to go fishing. Me and Lewis both were able to catch 2 fish, and then afterwards we went on, me and Lewis were partnered with that as well, and we went on a kind of like a mission, I would say, where we were given a tracker and a map and a compass and water, and told to make it from point A to point B by ourselves, to basically teach us survival, independence, and communication. So that was fun.
Nice. And I take it you made it from point A to point B?
Yes. We were the only 2 who didn't have any skills in looking at maps, and we were the first to be finished with a time of 37 minutes and 47 seconds.
Awesome.
I shared with them that they probably did better than I do with my GPS in the car, so I was very proud of them.
But she told the time, so excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. We're going to move to subject C since I don't see Mr. Stone present. Which takes us to Malcolm Fisher, the student artist. Come on up.
Yes, come on up. Malcolm, did you bring, I was gonna say your picture. That's beautiful. Can you talk to us about your picture?
I guess the inspiration behind my picture is basically my thought process. Since I have ADHD, it kind of like how she thinking. It's like how I think every day and what goes on in my brain a lot. But I guess since Miss Elam kind of forced me to go into the art show, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to do it. I'm really lazy, and not gonna lie, I didn't try my hardest. I wish I did. But I didn't. So, I didn't try my hardest on it. I wish I could have, but I didn't. So I guess since it's being my first time doing it and not trying and getting 3rd place, it's kind of like, okay, you're not that bad. And, yeah.
You got 3rd place from what?
The professional art show.
What year are you?
Now I'm a senior, but
So you're gonna try this year, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You have a portfolio, that should be in addition to
why you have an award.
Just a little bit of background with the competition. It was on display at the Dayton Art Institute, and that was for the whole 10th district.
Yeah.
There was over 20 schools that participated, and over 213 entries. We got third place out of 213 entries from our entire district.
Yes, we look for you to be in that competition and bring home first place next year.
I will try.
Yes.
It is a very prestigious competition. Yes, it is. Great.
Congratulations.
That's really nice.
Congratulations. Yes.
I'm Sierra Ela, one of the 3 high school artists.
Good work.
You all put on a beautiful presentation this year too. Yes, I was able to see it. It's very nice. We keep saying it's a lot of talent here in Trotwood.
Yes, yes, yes.
I just wanna know, will your, drawing remain at Trotwood, or will you take it home? It's gonna, okay, all right.
He want to keep his art?
Yeah, we'll get him to do another one just for us.
Yeah, just for display for a little while.
His art belongs to him.
You could be right there.
All right. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing. You wanna have some?
Okay.
Well, we're gonna add Mr. Bean, our band director.
We should have got a picture with you.
Yeah, that's all. Just send him to.
Michigan's
with
finest
him.
in the
Yeah,
building.
he will.
Should have.
Mr. Fisher, if you don't mind, right after their presentation, we would like to have a picture with you. Would you say, Ms.? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon to our board and superintendent and to all of you here. My name is Travis Bean. I am director of bands here at Trotwood-Madison. I'm going into my 4th year with the band. I'm very excited about all the things that are going on. I do not want to share them. That's why Mr. James White, a current, I like to call him a college freshman, is here to share his experience over the past 3 years.
All right.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is James White, and just came to tell you all about my experience of being in a band for 3 years. Been in it for 3 years. So essentially, I left the school beginning of my sophomore year at Trotwood, and I came back. So I was looking for, my mom forced me to have an extracurricular, and I was like, I really like music. So that's when I met Mr. Bean. Went in his office, I said, can I join a band? He was like, when can you start? I said, today. Ever since that day, I've been in the band. Mr. Bean. Man, he is a great person. He really, thanks to him, I became the man that I always wanted to be. I found my passion, music, through Mr. Bean. I did, sophomore year, you couldn't have told me nothing about college. I wouldn't know anything. I wouldn't know what a freshman is. I wouldn't have no scholarship money. But thanks to Mr. Bean, let me think. Lane College. Lane, UAPB, Wilberforce, Kentucky State, Lincoln, Talladega. I've had about 5 or so of those schools offer me to go completely for free.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Full tuition, books, housing, everything. For free. And that's all thanks to Mr. Bean. Yes. And through the band, my favorite experiences. I say my favorite. Ooh, that's a good question. My favorite experience is probably going on a trip to go to UAPB. We went for what, 5 days? Went for 5 days. We went to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. We basically toured the whole campus. Mr. Bean is an alumni at UAPB, so he's well acquainted with everyone. And it was fun. You know, it was a big dance line coming in. It was great. It was a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you decided what school you want to go to yet?
Kentucky State.
Kentucky
They gave me
State.
10,000
Wow, that is wonderful.
a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I do have just one more question. You said your mom encouraged you to do this. You really didn't want to. Did you have any prior band experience?
In the 7th grade,
Seventh grade.
I played euphonium in the 7th grade, and that was it. That's all I had.
And I just wanted to say that because, Mr. Bean, you need so much appreciation for taking our students who don't have experience, because typically by the time you would get them at high school, so many kids have been playing since, what, 5th grade? 6th grade, so thank you for that, too.
What instrument do you play now?
So, trumpet, trombone, mellophone, euphonium, tuba, sousaphone, and piano.
Oh, wow.
Wow. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a picture with you too. If you don't mind, we're gonna take a picture.
Mr. Bean
Ms.
is,
Jordan Isaac, do you mind taking pictures of us?
Okay. Okay.
What do you wanna do in front of the camera?
and while they're doing that, I want to thank Mr. Bean for the work he does with the middle school kids transitioning them to high school as well. This brother from Michigan leaves a lot out about himself when it comes to the role he plays in a lot of our children's lives. And, I would just like to thank him solely for that. It means more than you would ever know, that the way you culture our children in the music. No one can do that better than you. The way you gathered Columbus, the way you got Cincinnati, they're all coming to Trotwood to see us and perform with us. The way you go up and down to Michigan. I really appreciate having you here, and just thank you so much.
Item 3, board report.
Want me to explain that one?
Yes, please.
I put this under board report. It's board member training compensation for NSBA conference. And per policy 0147, a board member is entitled to compensation for any training that is less than 3 hours and any training that is more than 3 hours. In order for them to get paid, it has to be presented and voted on at a board meeting. And so I am presenting this from the NSBA conference that was held on April 5th through April 8th. And I put it on for action.
So I need approval for the board member training compensation for an SBA conference. I need a motion.
I motion. I'll second.
It's been properly moved. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Motion passes for the board training compensation. Item 4, treasurer's report.
I have one item for you this evening, and it is only for information, and it's the approval of the minutes from May 2nd, 2024 work session, May 11th board retreat, and May 16th, 2024 regular meeting. And again, it is for information only.
Next, item 5, superintendent's report.
Okay, I have quite a few items on today, but we'll get through them quickly. We've already seen the ones that are asked for action for the most part. So A is approval of the commission check for Westbrook Village. And that is for action. Is everybody able to click on that and see it? Okay. It's $25, yes. And then B is approval of the sports medicine, wellness, education services, and sponsorship agreement. And this is also for action. Again, we talked about this at our last meeting, but as a reminder, this is for us to have a flat rate of $143,000 to get our athletic trainer. And I know that we did have a question that came up, and I did get the response out to board members as to why we can't just get sponsorships from people who do the same thing from other hospitals and things. So if there's no other question, this one is for action. Okay. C, approval of the course guides. You did receive the form that tells what things were changed. As we said earlier, this is also for action. The changes were primarily just some updates, things of that nature. So we're gonna vote for these all at the same time, because again, this is for action. So do you wanna stop and do
Yeah, they have
them?
to do separate, A, B, and each one of them separate,
Okay,
since they're set up like that.
okay, then let's go on and do A.
So, 5A, a motion to approve for the approval of the commission check for Westbrook Village.
I'll make the motion to approve the check for Westbrook Village.
I'll second.
It's been moved. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Davis, and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Motion passes, so approval of the commission check for Westbrook Village. Next, I need approval for the sports medicine, wellness, education, services, and sponsorship agreement.
I'll make the motion for the approval of the sports medicine, wellness, education services, and sponsorship agreement.
I'll second.
It's been moved. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Mrs.
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes. For item B, approval of the sports medicine wellness education services and sponsorship agreement. Item C, I need a motion for the approval of the course guides for Trotwood-Madison Middle School and Trotwood-Madison High School.
I move.
I second.
It's been properly moved in second. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, it's been properly moved for the approval of the coursework for Trotwood-Madison Middle School and High School.
Okay, now we have item D. This is about our participation in the National Lunch Program for the 24-25 school year. And Mr. Howard, would just like to share a brief, minute with you about what this is for. It is, of course, attached.
This is a hot podium tonight. You know. Real quick, and I'm gonna be as concise as I can. The federal government and board policy requires us every year to approve the nutritional standards for the school district being a designated district for the National School Lunch Program. What National School Lunch is it is the program that allows our students to eat lunch 100% free based upon our designation for poverty status. So within our district there are no students in this district based upon the percentage of students in the community that qualify for free and reduced lunch, and I think that's around in the 60% or something like that. So 60% of your students qualify for free and reduced lunch based upon the National School Lunch Program, the certification process. That means 100% of your students eat free. I think our actual designation percentage is maybe around the 80s of students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So with that being said, it's always a good time at the beginning of the year once we go for approval, because the board has to approve us every year for participating in this program. Just to remind some of the folks that have been on the board and inform folks that are new to the board what the National School Lunch Program actually is. Mrs. Katie Bays, if you don't mind waving, Katie. Katie is she is the nutrition supervisor for the school district. She works out of my department, and myself, her, Tia Rogers, who is my secretary, we work very diligently, specifically Katie and Tia, work very diligently to ensure that we adhere to all of the standards and all of the guidelines that are the directive as far as the National School Lunch Program is concerned. What a lot of people don't understand about this program is that if you participate in this program, you have to adhere to the federal guidelines that are set forth from the federal government, the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, et cetera, et cetera. On a yearly basis, we are audited to ensure that all of our meals, that all of the things that we serve students adhere to those guidelines. And if we do, as we have over the last several years, 12 to 13 years, then we are eligible for the reimbursement, which each meal that we serve to students, we are reimbursed a number designated by the federal government. So with all that being said, I have provided you some information just with regards to the National School Lunch Program. I provided you the acronyms, what some of those acronyms are, what they mean, and the ones that I think you should just be aware of, because you may go some places, you may go to some seminars or conferences, and they talk about the NSLP or CACFP. These are all the things that we as a department, we as a school district, these are all the folks that override and the guidelines we have to adhere to with regards to school lunch. And just a real quick summary of some of the things that we do. I talked about us eating 100% free, all of our students eating 100% free. And then due to the designation, because in the past there was a lot of misinformation with regards to what is actually in a school lunch. Well, with this federal program, there are some very, very strict guidelines that we have to adhere to. And for about 90% of our students, maybe 85% of our students, I would say 85 to 90% of our students, this is the most nutritious meal they get during the day. And I say all that to say, we have to offer fresh fruit options on a daily basis. We have limited sodium, limited fat content, limited carbohydrate content. So all of the meals that we serve, they have to adhere to these guidelines or we will not be able to get those meals reimbursed. So what Katie does on a daily basis is she reviews menus, she works with vendors who are aligned to the National School Lunch Program to ensure that we are adhering to these guidelines. Making sure the board understands that along with the National School Lunch Program, the district runs a after-school program where all of our after-school programs are eligible for free and reduced lunch. We call them snacks. And then we are in the midst of our summer program. Currently right now, Katie, we have almost 20 sites, maybe 12 sites updated. It's changed on a daily basis. We have 12 active sites within the community. And at our height of this program, we served the summer of 2018-19, right before the pandemic, we served almost 25,000 lunches in the summer. 25,000 lunches to students at various sites, absolutely free, absolutely at no cost. So we really try to get ourselves out into the community. We try to establish our footprint because we know that there are kids out there that are hungry. And we work internally to try to ensure that we meet that need. We had a meeting over at Goodwill today, and during lunch I went out for a walk and I saw some kids walking up the street, and I said, "Hey, it's free lunch over there." They said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, just go into the library and get your free lunch because the library is one of our sites." And they walked over there and they got a free lunch. So anybody we can tell, we work with the city. Anybody we can tell about this free lunch, we really try to promote it. There are go ahead, yes, ma'am.
Do we know what our numbers were this first week?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll start calculating those once we really get into it.
I'm
But
sure the word is
yeah,
getting out yet.
right, and that's true, and we're still working. We've sent flyers. We've been on the radio. We've been on the news. We've been with the city as far as their communication. So we've reached a lot of different channels, and we're trying to make sure that everybody knows that we do have these available sites. Now,
Mr.
one of the
Howard.
challenges that yes, ma'am.
Just real quick, can you remind everyone of the time?
Times vary by site. So the last sheet in your packet has the most updated sites. Well, it might not be now because we may need to change it, but it has a list of the sites, the locations of the site, and the times for lunch and breakfast. The packets, it should be loaded online. Yeah, it should be loaded
it
on,
is.
yeah.
It's page 8.
Yeah. So also what we've included is, I've included just some general information about the National School Lunch Program. If you have any further questions, there are resources here that you can log into. There are some websites there that you can log into. We also have the Smart Snacks guidelines that you can look at just to see what our obligations are as far as sodium content, as far as fat content, et cetera, et cetera. And then, finally, one thing I do want to be very transparent about is that, especially when it comes to finances, that as you look at the finances and as you go through the financial review, you look at the financial statements, and you see some of the costs for food service, one thing we have to make sure we understand is that these are reimbursable meals. So as we expend this money, sometimes the reimbursement does not catch up with what you see on your document. Now, last year, I believe maybe the last 2 years, just like everybody else, food prices have gone up. And food prices and our reimbursement rate, they're not seeing eye to eye. Now, with the help of some lobbyists and some other folks in the federal government, we officially received notification that we were going to get the higher reimbursement rate. Is it the Right, so what we were doing, we were getting about 85%, so now we're gonna get, starting next year, we're gonna get 100%. So we're very hopeful that as these food prices hopefully come down, our reimbursement rate goes up, we can start to chip away at some of the, the negatives that you see. But with all that being said, $172,000 last year, $172,000 to spend on food for kids based upon, some of the enormous amounts of money that other school districts spend. It's well worth it, for the community to know that the majority of their kids are eating free. Now, we started in the hole, so with us starting in the hole and with, the negatives that we're starting to accumulate, we're still trying to chip away at that balance. But with all that being said, every kid in this district eats free. Every kid, and in summer, anyone from 0 to 18 eats free. So, this program is something that we believe in. It's a program that Miss Bays, has worked very hard to expand. And this is really our first year after COVID that we've really been out in the community. And we're really hoping to expand on it next year and work through the process of continuing to service this community with food. And then the last thing, there are a couple positives. The food service department did secure a grant for $77,000 to purchase some new equipment. And then we are also working, next year we're going to really work to secure, there's a couple other grants out there. There's a farm to school grant that will help us, if we're able to secure that grant. Farm to school grant helps with utilizing local businesses, securing local produce, and then working to teach kids, how important local fresh produce and businesses, how important it is to support those. I tried to be quick. Any questions? I'm sorry. I just think it's important to, for everybody to understand how important this program is to our kids in this district.
He is very passionate about this. A couple of things. One, I heard you telling a family as they were walking out the door of this building the other day that the free lunch was and where it was. So,
Right.
So you're practicing what you preach for sure. And he told me, oh, I don't really want to talk. It'll only be a minute, no problem. But then he got up here and he gets so excited about it. So we do appreciate that, and we do appreciate the work you're doing too. Thank you.
Yeah, and don't, I don't want anybody to get confused. Katie brings me the issues, but Katie is she's the one that does the bulk of the work. Katie and Katie specifically and Miss Rogers. And it's always a good thing, heartfelt thing when you go and you see a family like today at the library. So you see a family of five kids and one mother there eating a free lunch today. So, I think at the library we might have had about 15 or 16.
That was my next question. I know you said 0 to 18, but if there's a mom or a dad with the kid, do we feed the parent?
Yes. 0 to 18. 0 to 18.
Got it.
0 to 18. Yeah, we can't. There we go. We can't claim it.
Okay.
And that's what an issue that again when you talk about finances, one of the things we're really working on and we're really trying to put a much more concise plan together is waste. Kids sometimes they don't understand what's good for them, so they go to places like and they say, well, so and so got Chick-fil-A or so. We can't do that. Everything in our school district that we serve during lunchtime and during the school hours has to adhere to these guidelines. Now, what they do is they'll get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and I say these other schools, they'll get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and it'll cost them $2, and they'll charge them $6, or they'll charge them $5. We don't do that. And, what we do is, we try to provide options for kids, but all of these options have to be healthy. You agree? Is there anything you want to? So,
Thank you.
next meeting, we'll ask for approval from the board for us to continue to
Okay.
participate.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're at item E. This is approval of the 24-25 Student Code of Conduct Handbook and Recommendations. This is for information tonight. And you did receive a copy of this, and you can see on it, it says recommendations and changes that are made. Update the Board of Education members' names, school configurations, the district calendar is in there. I don't need to read through those for you, I'm sure, but this is for information as well. So as you look through that, if you have any questions, or even if you have any questions tonight, please feel free to ask them. But we have given you that packet and the things that were changed. A lot of them were basic changes. Now, we do know Student Code of Conduct. One of the things that has just recently come through in our, when we had our policy meeting, was the cell phone rule, but we already have, you know, that in place. So that is a time when we might make a major change to something like our code of conduct, but right now, there were very basic changes. And this, again, is for information only. Okay. If there are no questions, I'll move on to F. Okay, item F, approval of sponsorship marketing agreement. This is also for information. We did talk about would we be able to get some sponsorships in marketing, and we can. They just can't fall in certain categories where hospitals are concerned. And so what this one is $25,000, and it's with Michael L. Wright and the law firm of Wright and Schulte LLC. And so the contract that we have talks about what we will provide and what he will also provide. It's for a year which starts July 1st of 2024 and will continue through June 30th, 2025. We're pretty excited about that. Yes, it's $25,000. And my understanding is we will continue to try to get this type of money. So that's exciting. Okay. Item G, approval of the commission check for Madison Park. Again, this is an information one. It's the box tops again. And it's $2.90, but every dollar counts. Okay. Item H is the approval of the 24-25 Montgomery County ESC Foundation Service Agreement. As you know, every year we get services. They're listed on our contract that we're asking. Again, this is information for tonight. We will need a vote on it at our next meeting. And you'll see the types of services that are offered as you look at this agreement. That's in section 1. The compensation based on the estimated cost of the services provided by Montgomery County ESC, and as provided above, the district agrees to pay the county the amount of $2,236,694.38. And then those services will be provided for us. We do this annually. Okay. Item I is approval of the Panorama Service Order. Okay.
Can you just put a little detail about that?
About Panorama? You know what? Mrs. Mallory is here, and she is definitely the expert in the Panorama world. So do you mind sharing with the board what we get for our Panorama contract? We had sort of mentioned that it is like what we talked about as far as being a data dashboard. Yes, and it's a lot of data. Mr. Graham could probably even share information because we all use Panorama. But if you would do that, I'd appreciate it.
So Panorama is our, as a data dashboard, it houses, it integrates with our, testing system, so it has all of our student information, in regards to their testing, their attendance, their behavior, and their grades and everything. It integrates all of that.
Thank you.
And this was for information tonight. We will be asking for a vote next time. Okay? Item J is approval of the amendment to school services contract, Samaritan Behavioral Health. Let me go back again. This one is for information. And the amendment is because we have a slight increase in the amount. So the parties agree that as of the amendment effective date, the contract sum outlined in section 4B of our agreement will be $385,000. And I believe that's an increase of $10,000. And so a $10,000 increase is a really good, still a very good deal. Okay, and then last but not least, and this one is for action, it's our personnel agenda. And on our personnel agenda, we have A1, which is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified resignations for the 23-24 school year. A2 is a recommendation for the approval of the certified summer school staff for the 23-24 school year. A3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified staff to be used on an as-needed basis for the 24-25 school year. A4 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified limited contract for the 24-25 school year. A5 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified staff extended days for the 23-24 school year. And then our classified personnel agenda, Agenda B. B1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignations for the 23-24 school year. B2 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified summer staff for the 23-24 school year. B3 is a recommendation for the approval of the classified position change for the 23-24 school year. And as mentioned in our change, we're adding HC1 and HC2 to the administrative personnel agenda, and we're removing C1 and C2 from the administrative personnel agenda. This one is for approval, so we would need a motion. I need approval for subject K for the personnel agenda. Need a motion.
I motion A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, B1, B2, B3, with the exception of what was stated in C by Madam Superintendent. Which would have been HC1, HC2.
I'll second, but with questions, we are voting on HC 1 and 2, correct? Just wanna make
Correct.
clarification.
Yes.
I do have a question before we, on A5, the purpose of the extended days.
let me make sure any of the counselors. The school counselors stay 5 days after school is out to prepare the schedule for next year and just to make sure everything is closed out. They come in 5 days early to, help make sure all the kids are registered appropriately and any changes made to the schedules or to the student schedules most typically is what happens. So that's why they get those extended days.
Mhm. Any other questions? No. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
And Mrs. Curry?
Yes. Motion passes for the approval of the personnel agenda. Next up, item 6 is discussion and follow-up items and updates.
Mhm. And so, we're gonna have Mrs. Rachel Murdoch come up and speak to, these items. And of course, I will be here to add anything if you have any questions beyond what she shares.
Okay, so I did just have first an update from summer school. 2 of our summer school programs started this week. Those are the middle school and high school programs. The high school program is really based on track for graduation work. They're doing credit recovery and industry credentials for students who have not met their end of course exam requirements. Those will replace those. And they've had about 90 students in the building this week beginning that work. And that programming is Monday through Friday, and it is 8 to 11:30. The middle school students are working on academic skill development and social engagement. They are using programs that offer individualized intervention in reading and math. And then they have daily enrichment activities in the afternoon. This afternoon, I believe they were swimming at the auditorium. Their program goes Monday through Thursday, 8 to 3, and they had about 80 students attending this week. Our Freedom Schools, which are K-5, begin on Monday. The teachers have been in this week doing training and setting up their rooms, and then students will come on Monday. They are working on academic intervention in reading and math. In the mornings, they're working on that reading, and in the afternoons, they have math intervention as well as other enrichment activities that include like crafts and, let's see, I made a list, doing crafts, and some other enriching activities, as well as a weekly field trip. So some of their field trips include going to COSI, to the library, to the Air Force Museum, to the zoo. They also have a weekly parent meeting. So that program does start Monday. It runs Monday through Friday, 8 to 3, and we have 60 students enrolled in that program. And then the other summer programming we're offering this year, as I presented earlier, is access to tutoring from Sylvan Learning, and that's for grades 2, 3, and 4. Right now, 27 students in grade 4 from Westbrook Village are participating in tutoring. We just got their first list. They started a little earlier than the Madison Park students. The goal for them is to get 50 hours of tutoring over the summer. 50 hours is what research says will make gain for them, and some of them are already at 6 or 8 hours after our first week. Madison Park students, they got registered a little later, so we don't have their hours yet, but we have 21 students signed up in grades 2 and 3. And so that is it for summer programming. Any questions about those updates?
I would like to say that, one of the things that we want to do is to get our parents involved and to get to Sylvan. They are responsible for getting them there and picking them up, and our parents are doing that. We are excited to say that when we ask people to do things, that they will step up and do them, so.
That's a good number, 27 and 21.
Mhm.
So that's a total of 48 students. That's a good
Yes,
number.
we're very excited about
Yes,
that and excited to
providing their
see.
own transportation. So kudos to those
Yeah.
parents.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Very good number. All right, so I also have some updates on the third grade reading guarantee. Our third grade scores are in, and as you know, third graders take the reading test in the fall, and then they take it again in the spring. So in the fall, we had about 22% of our third graders proficient. When we got the spring scores, that had gone up to 36% of our students proficient. So that means they have met the guarantee through their OST testing. Now, as you probably are also aware, there are other ways to meet the third grade guarantee, and that's through a MAP score or through a sub-score on the reading test. And so once we looked at those scores, we are closer to 50% who met that third grade guarantee.
Do you know the state average?
I do not know the state average, but I can get that for you from the preliminary
Okay.
scores. But it is definitely higher. We have work to do there.
Okay.
What is that increase in comparison to the previous years?
It's similar, according to our preliminary data, it looks similar. Now, once we get the scrubbed data, once they go and take out anybody that's a duplicate or that had moved to another school, we'll have final numbers and I'll have a better answer for that. But right now, it looks similar to where we were last year at this time.
And oftentimes when they pull those things, it does bring it up a tad, so that will hopefully be a positive.
Hopefully it'll go up, yeah.
Yeah,
Dr. Cosby, do you know what the state score is?
I don't know off the top of my head. We'll get that for you.
And so for the 2-5 building update, I think most of this are things that you already knew were in motion, but teachers were notified of their building placements on May 17th. Mr. Howard's department delivered boxes and packing instructions so they would know what to do with their materials. We also gave them instructions, the buildings, on what to do with the teacher materials so that we make sure that those are moved over the summer as well as we combine those grade levels. And we just have some final tweaking to do on the split of who is going to which building. There are just a few kids who are on the edge that we just need to make a decision about. So we will be on track to get those families notified by the end of June. I think it will be more like mid-June, but definitely by the date we had set, June 30th.
And I would like to add, I do think that it's important that our community understands that we have looked at the data. One of the concerns, I know I received an email with the concern that by doing this, we were setting up a class system. And I think it's important to acknowledge that we have looked at the data and that in fact that is not the situation. We're trying to raise all of our kids to raise them in academic achievement. We realize that as far as, and we just had that conversation from Mr. Howard, that 80% or more of our students do fall within the poverty guidelines to get free lunches. And we looked at academic data, achievement data, we looked at behavioral data, and it's pretty much the same across the district. So wherever your child is assigned to school, the resources will be the same. It's going to be a good experience for them regardless of which building that they go to. So we're really excited about that piece, that we are going to be in position for all of our kids to have the relationships with their teachers and with one another as we move towards this. As we really get it finalized now, we're really in implementation mode. So that's all I wanted to add to the 2 to 5 building update.
We have to acknowledge that there's a large section of people that work for this district that have been under a lot of stress in it. I can tell you that I received 111 phone calls about the transitions. So we put the trust in the superintendent that that decision is the right one. But I would be remiss not to mention the fact that there were several different pockets of people in Trotwood that were very concerned with how the move was rolled out. My second question was, there were two neighborhoods that we discussed in the board retreat that we had not made decisions on which building we were sending them to, Westbrook Village or Madison Park. I believe it was Old Town and Old Broadmoor 1. Where are we at in determining which buildings those particular neighborhoods are gonna go to?
Right now, we have gone with that middle of the road, configuration, which was having Old Town at Madison Park, but not Broadmoor 1.
Because the
And-
concern was, if I remember correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Cosby, was kids from Old Town having to walk across Main Street if they were in that to Madison Park.
One of the things that we discussed, if we need to do that, not yet, but because of that, we were still talking about the line, we would have to evaluate whether it would take the transport because of that. So, once we conclude the process, like I said, there's still a few little pieces that we're trying to move around. And, when we start, we're gonna run some simulated routes. And through those simulations, we'll be able to identify the most efficient means of transportation, which does take us.
And to your first question, me and you can talk about this at another time if you prefer not to say it here, but I think the concerns that people have may be different if it's concerns from staff versus concerns from community. And some of those concerns from community, I hope that we have talked to you enough, and if we haven't, we can give more information, to verify that in fact what I said was accurate data. I know we did go over the data, and I know the board is aware. So when you get those calls, it would be very helpful if the concern is who they think is going to be going to a certain school, and they think that our students are different, that as board members, if you would confirm that in fact that is not the case, that would be helpful.
Well, I
If the
think-
concerns are from staff members understand or will understand that what we're doing is what is best for the kids. So if they were moved and they're not happy about that, unfortunately, we have to put the needs of our kids first. And all of those decisions were made based on, as you all know, trying to make sure that all of our staff were employed. And that was one of our very important things, but also that it was an equitable distribution of our teachers.
So I think, Dr. Cosby, what would be helpful is to put together maybe some talking points, because we have many layers of this. We have community concerns, parents' concerns, and staff concerns. And what would help us just to be able to communicate that is just talking points, the benefits of it all. Why are we doing this? And that'll be easier for us, just so that we're all saying the same thing.
And I think that it would be an effective practice to, since in summertime, when instead of board walking buildings, maybe board walking neighborhoods with those talking
With the
points.
talking points.
Because, as we get ready to go into the next school year, we just wanna make sure that we're making the community aware of the things that you're presenting to us. Because we got it at a very late point in the year.
Right.
So now we have to use the summer to make sure we're informing the community of the changes.
I will definitely get those talking points to you.
Yep.
So I have a question, because as far as extracurriculum activities, will both 2 to 5 buildings have the same extracurriculum activities?
They will have primarily the same extracurriculars. We already know, like, we have hydroponics right now at Westbrook. That will be an opportunity also at Madison Park. That's one of the major things. The rocks that we talked about, that leadership group will be in both. Some of the things are based on clubs and things that teachers, want to do. So some of those after-school activities may be different, but they're different, of course, now. And kids choose to do it. If there's an interest with their kids, then we can develop a supplemental, for our teachers to, do those type of after-school things. But things that happen during the school day will be very similar. If there is something that is different, it would be, maybe we didn't find a teacher, but right now we know for the things that we talked about, the hydroponics, for example, we do have, a teacher for that.
So the hydroponics, are we splitting what we have already at Westbrook Village, or are we getting new?
We have another person we're getting new.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's good, that's really good.
Yeah, and I think those teachers will work very closely together.
Mhm.
So a list provided, would be most helpful, especially when we're going on community walks and
Yes.
trying to explain to the community.
We can get that
Will
list,
look the same,
Yep.
because that is a,
ASAP.
that is
It
a
may not
concern.
exactly the same, but
Yeah.
here's the programming for this building, here's the program for that
Right.
building. We didn't take anything away from anybody, just.
And parents, I mean, they have concerns about things that we know, and as educators, we know, if a student has an IEP and they require certain services, they will get those services wherever they are. And if it is a service that's only offered in one of the buildings, then that is where that child would have to go, if it came to that. So I think that is a concern. I know I did hear of a parent who was concerned, that her child might not get that service, but we will be providing any service, that's on an IEP wherever the students are.
So I think we had a great example, just the presentations today of our 5 students in the extracurricular activities. I think that kind of shows that, that develop our students not only with the extracurricular activity, but the self-esteem and just their abilities to, I think the young man spoke about he had a ADHD disability. So I think, having those extra programming in the schools will definitely help our students in making sure they're the same and they still get those same opportunities.
Yes. So also, we had discussed, like a transition meeting.
And if I remember correctly, the transition meeting that we had talked about, we determined that when we have our open houses, that was a good time to hold that meeting, so the teachers would be there, and it would be discussions about what to expect in your building. There are gonna be, memos and letters and things sent out to parents throughout the summer, so they will be getting information. But when we looked at our time frame, then open house was still gonna be the best time, because our teachers would be back and ready, and that seemed like the way to go about that.
So can you provide the board with a tentative date for an open house?
They may be already set.
And
That's
So
when
that
it
would be
usually is.
August 9th?
And when is back to school bash? That's the third, right,
first Saturday,
first Saturday in August. And teachers do set up, things there. The buildings will be there and have a setup there as well. So that would be the first opportunity for parents that wanted to interact with their school, to come. And they will know where they're gonna be going at that point.
so Ms. Murdoch said tentatively by June the 30th.
Yeah, we think it'll be earlier than that, but definitely by June the 30th.
This month is flying.
And it's fine.
Thank you. Ram Nation.
Ram Nation, yeah, and we have
Yeah.
14 graduates from Ram Nation.
And they participated in the regular high school graduation. Thank you.
I have a
Thank
question
you.
about Ram Nation. Do we
Okay.
have any more students that have enrolled?
And that's all we have.
Okay. Number 7, treasurer comments.
I don't have any this evening.
Superintendent comments.
I did want to say that I agree. I think the people who came and spoke today, the young ladies, they did an excellent job, and they acknowledge the increase in their ability and willingness to get up and speak in front of people, which is a hard thing to do. Of course, musician was excellent, and as well as our artist. Also, I know 2 of the board members, I'm not sure if all board members received the pictures of how we're working with CSU, and we have 2 students involved this summer, and they're doing the hydroponics and things like that. So if you did not receive pictures from Ms. Forte, I will be forwarding them to the rest of the board so that you can see that. So just wanted to say that we're really excited to continue that program, that work with CSU, that's Central State University. They've been wanting to work with us, and we've been wanting to work with them. And that's all I have.
Okay. So now we at number 9, which is board comments. In the absence of Ms. Currington, we will move to Aaron Lumpkin.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, we have some exciting things going on, but as we transition into the summer months, I just want to encourage families and students to make sure that you stay connected to the schools through the programs that we have, especially the nutrition programs and the free lunch programs that we have going on in our buildings and the neighborhoods. You can expect to see the Board of Education in your neighborhood at a time coming soon, because we want to get out in front of you and hear your feedback about the job that we're doing for the kids and the job that we're doing in the district. And then lastly, I want to say happy birthday to my niece, Asina Lumpkin. She turns 13 today. I'm currently missing her birthday party to be here at the Board of Education meeting, but I love you, Asina, and happy birthday to you.
Okay, that's nice. Mr. Davis?
Madam Treasurer, I would just like to thank you for all of the hard work you do. It's always a pleasure to work with you. I'd like to thank the color guard for the reading of our message. It's a very powerful one that I believe in. Our administration, I'll just go down the line, pretty much freestyle it. I'm our board. As usual, it's a pleasure to serve pretty much all our administration, our staff, our custodial, our transportation department, our directors, our CEO, Dr. Cosby, our assistant superintendent, and our lovely nutritional service people that have blessed us today to be with us and not only bring us grants in, but show the love that she has and the admiration she has for our city of Trotwood and our future, which will be our children. Ms. Mallory, Ms. Ella, I appreciate you guys. Our IT department, I'm gonna keep it to my 3 minutes. And just a thing that I thought about. Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herd. That is one of the ones I like us to think about as we move forward this year and as we develop what the new model of Trotwood-Madison City Schools will look like with all the moves. And Sister, I also appreciate all of the work you're doing, all of the data you're collecting. Mr. Manley, I didn't forget about you. Thanks for holding it down at the meeting that I missed at the TMEF. Apologies for my absence. Jobs is kind of pulling me every which direction. One last thing is I like to go to, you know, I'm like a historian type, so I study a lot of this. 1802, our framers of our Ohio Constitution seem to think about what was to come thousands of years later with the way that the voucher program works, with the way they pull our city school children out of the districts for our socioeconomical status families. They give them, if people don't know a lot about this, they give them these vouchers, which they can just pop off at any school they want. And in 1802, I think our framers of Ohio Constitution thought about this in the future, because from the 90s to 2024, it changed substantially, which meant that a lot of the lower income or the socioeconomical status children, when they go to these programs or go to these non-public schools, they're hand selected to be in those schools, which means they kind of are marginalized to the education that they get at that moment. But in 1802, we thought a little bit more about the poor, is what they would have called it back then, children, to where they made in the Senate an effective way to make sure that every children gets equal education. And I feel like, Dr. Cosby, that's what we do with Trotwood-Madison. I can't speak for any other public school system. I was with a lot of Montgomery County city commissioners today and a former mayor today at a ribbon cutting ceremony, and I thought about the position of some of our sister city school districts. And I would just like to think back to some of our founding members when I think about 1802 and continue that course to where we don't just think about the socioeconomical status or the high income, the low income. We kind of think about being inclusive to all. And that's just something I would like us to think about on our way home or on our journeys home in a higher power's name today. And just thank you guys for your time. I digress, but just thanks for listening.
Vice President, Mrs. Simmons.
I have very little to say today. I know it's summer. Some of us are still worked really hard during the school year, so I just want to remind us all to do some self-care. Take some time for yourself, do something fun. This 2 to 5 move is going to be very stressful for the staff, and encourage those that are working, even on the administrative level, to do something. Take some time for yourself and with your families, and don't forego this time. It goes really quickly.
Okay. Alright. I'm up next. I just wanted to say, I really appreciate what the students were saying, the compliments they were given, the foundation, the discipline, the opportunities, the sound character that they mentioned that was provided by the instructors, their teachers, and Mr. Bean. That speaks volume. It really does, and I really appreciate those students sharing their stories. Mr. Fisher, the artwork is amazing, and it just goes to show you that we do have talent in Trotwood in all areas. There are a lot of moving parts in the district right now. We know this. We know there's going to be some complaints, some hiccups, some bumps in the road, all of that. But I'm just asking that we work together for the good of the students and for the good of the district. So I know there are going to be some complaints. I understand that, but what are you here for? Are you here for the students? Are you here for show, fashion? What are you here for? So with that being said, I just ask that we all keep an open mind, woosah, and like Vice President Simmons said, take some time to do some self-care because it's needed. It's needed. So without nothing further, I want to make a motion to enter into executive session to consider the appointment, the employment, the discipline, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per BOE policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1. Action may be taken. Ms. Allen, please go ahead.
I'll make a motion for us to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Ms. Allen has been moved in second. Please go on.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes. We will enter into executive session at 6:56.